All right, so today we're going to look at geographic inquiry. So what exactly does that look like? So when I talked about looking at or thinking like a geographer, it's essentially taking a piece of information and looking at it and saying, okay, what can I get out of this? Well, how is the best way that I can analyze it and maybe learn from it, or maybe grab the best piece of information and then ask yourselves other question in order to possibly go in and retrieve and do proper research. So essentially, so today's assignment, it's pretty simple. So what you want to do, and you have this slide, and I'll show you where you have access to this. So essentially, you want to look at your piece of information, and you want to say, okay, is this is this a primary source? I'm just going to move this up a bit so I have access. Um, so essentially, is this a primary? Whoops, is this a primary source that I can use? Okay, where does this piece of information come from? So you want to keep asking good questions. Okay, if you can get proper information from a primary source, hey, then you've hit the top of the mountain, I guess, or the top of the pyramid. Secondary source, we're looking at secondary observation. So somebody that's studied, and then him or her, they're sharing that piece of information. Tertiary resource is essentially someone that copied of someone. So like I explained in class, you have to look at it from where that resource is coming. And then not good sources, well, again, Wikipedia, personal information, someone said. So you really got to pay attention to how you take a look at your information and where you're getting that information and what you plan on doing with that information. Okay, so let's have a look here. Okay, so essentially what you're going to be doing today is I'm just going to close this off. So out of your virtual image over here, so you're going to be working off of this. Okay, so it's pretty important that you kind of look at this way here. So I want to be looking at, no, maybe not that. I'm just going to use a pointer. Okay, so you want to be able to find as much information. Like I said, you have this here. Okay, so you have that piece of information that you can then come around and then follow that. The article that I'm going to share with you in a second is found here in that big diamond. It's about diamonds, which I think is quite interesting. You have your piece of research tools from your textbook. If you don't have access to your textbook right now, I've obviously copied it in here. And then obviously your questions that I'm going to show you in a second are in Google Classroom. Okay. So what you want to do is that essentially you want to be reading this article up here about 102 carat found, or diamond carat found in Northern Ontario. The topic doesn't really bother me at this point. It was a good enough topic, good enough resource for me to say, okay, how can you guys learn from this, and how can you take this information and analyze it? Okay, so what I liked about it as well is that it's based on Canadian geographics, in the sense that it's from a diamond that's from Northern Ontario. I think that's really interesting. And also that it's dated from 2020. As much as it says 2018, it's not about, it's a recent article about an event that happened in 2018. Okay, so I want you to read up on that. So you're going to read this article, okay, individually. You're going to look at it, you're going to analyze it, and you're going to say, okay, pretty good. How does it scale back now? So you're going to go back, so you're going to find that article in this big diamond right over here. Afterwards, you're going to go into Google Classroom. In Google Classroom, you're going to get these questions here. So the article is there again, okay? So you can go in and have access to it. It's really up to you. But you have these 13 questions, okay? They're based on essentially how you analyze the article, not about I mean, it is about the content, but I'm not going to ask you about who said this and what does this mean in terms of geographic. I just want you to look at it in a way that you can learn on how to study and how to analyze, okay? So 13 questions, very simple. Again, asking class what to do with this. So it's pretty important that you kind of just ask around. But you don't need to do extra research. Everything is in the article. Okay. So we're thinking as a geographer, we're thinking on how we can best do it. Okay. So what type of source is it? It's right. Where does this information come from? What event does it describe? It's kind of in the title, but once you've read it, you'll know, so on and so forth. Okay. So you want to think like a geographer. You want to think like someone that's doing research, and then from that news article, what other information can I get? Okay. So again, enjoy. Have any questions, let me know, but I think you're off to a good start. Okay. All right. Best of luck, everyone.